couple of days ago I decided to resurrect an idea I had a couple of years ago, and that was to draw pictures with my machine. So I dug out something that I purchased from a company called Recursive, and that was this gadget here. It's their idea of a graphics pen. Now I've tried this and there are one or two problems with it. The first really is to get this point, your drawing point, exactly in line with that axis, and you've got to make some rather tricky adjustments to get it exactly in line with the point. Now what happens if you don't, of course, is the point is offset and you get the thing turning round as you're drawing, making for very inaccurate drawings. Another problem is that this plastic material they're using, which is by the look of it Delrin, is not very thermally stable, which means that in the cold weather the hole that this thing moves in tightens up and this becomes tight and doesn't spring at all, gets stuck. Also in very hot weather it becomes slack and wobbly. So what I did was I bored out the hole and pushed in a brass bush. Now brass is much more thermally stable than plastic, so it's not affected so much by hot and cold. So that was an improvement. Even so, I wasn't happy with the thing as it stands. And another point is that this being at an angle, sometimes you're pushing against the angle and it digs in, and that turned out to be a problem in some drawings. So what I decided to do was design my own pen, and this is what I'm going to show you in this video. Here is the design I came up with. Basically it's made out of 3 pieces of brass tubing. The largest is 6mm outside diameter and 5mm inside, then there's a 5mm outside and 4mm inside, and then finally 4mm outside and 3mm inside. These are cut off at different lengths as shown in the drawing. Some of them are glued together as shown. This is in an effort to keep the whole assembly as stiff as possible, to make drawing as accurate as possible. Don't forget to solder a little washer which the refill will pass through onto the end of the largest tube. This proved to be the trickiest part of the whole assembly operation. Finally, the very smallest piece is crimped onto the end of the biro refill. This is what you should end up with. The ball point should depress about 3mm against the spring into the largest tube. Here it is mounted in a 6mm collet, and we're going to do a little drawing that I hand coded. It is a recursive iterative drawing, and the code follows at the end of the video. I think you'll agree that this is working pretty well. The only problem I can see with the design is that it's not easy to change the refills once the ink has run out. But keep watching, because I think I've got some ideas that might get round this. And here is the code I promised. It seems to have turned out quite successfully, so I might well try a few more.